Hello, my brothers and sisters. You are tuned in to the Kingdom Road radio show, and this is your host, Joseph Israel. Today we're going to talk about man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh. So, giving thanks to go over this message with you all today, and we're going to start right there in the Torah, but it's also quoted by the Messiah Yahshua in Matthew 4, verse 4. He answers, he says, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh." So what has taken place here is that the Messiah has begun to go on a fast, and he's been fasting for 40 days, and we'll actually read before that. It says in Matthew 4, verse 1, "Then was Yahshua led up of the Holy Spirit, and went into the wilderness, and was tempted of the devil." So the devil came to tempt him, or try him, because the Messiah wasn't tempted as other men would be tempted, so to speak, but it was a trial for him to overcome. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterwards hungry. And when the tempter, the devil, came to him, he said, "If you be the Son of Elohim, command that these stones be made bread." But he answered, Yahshua answered and said, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yahweh." So, this teaches us so many things, and that our life does not come from our daily bread, our food that we get, that the most important thing that we could have to sustain us would be the truth that comes from Yahweh, the word that He gives us, His commandments, His purpose that He's expressed, that we live for those things, and that we will live by them and live through them. And it actually is considered a well of free-flowing water, the waters of life. And actually, if we turn to Revelation 22, verse 17, it says, "The Spirit and the bride say, Come, and let him that hears say, Come, and let him that is thirsty come. Whosoever will, let him take of the waters of life freely." So these waters of life are also the words that proceed out of the mouth of Yahweh, and they want people to take these truths and live by them, take them in as you would food. The Proverbs teach us to seek for wisdom as one would seek for riches in this world, but seek for truth and understanding. With all you're getting, get understanding. The prophet Isaiah speaks on this matter. He says in Isaiah chapter 55, he says, verse 1, "Ho, everyone that is thirsty, come ye to the waters. And he that has no money, come you and buy and eat. Yes, come buy wine and milk without money and without price." This is not literal milk. This is not literal wine. But what it is actually the truth. The revealed truths that come from the Most High. There's some of the teachings are considered milk. That's the nourishing effect that you would give to a babe. The simpler truths. And also the wine is actually what it says, wine makes the heart glad, and it's actually represents a part of the scriptures, the deeper revelations of the scriptures that makes our heart glad when we understand the prophecies and the deeper understandings of the Torah that actually bring us straight joy. And look, these things are to be given for free. Why? Because man's life depends on them. So it goes on, so it says, without money, without price, come to the truth. Come and eat. Whosoever wills, whoever is thirsty, come drink of the waters of life freely. The Messiah says, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from Yahweh. He's quoting the prophet Moses, and we see the harmony here. It says in verse 2 of Isaiah 55, "Why do you spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfies not? Listen diligently unto me, eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness." Okay, so now the prophet's questioning the human race. Why are you spending your money on that which is not bread? Now, this is speaking of spiritual things. People spend their money. They might buy someone's interpretation of this. There's people selling, get the prophecies of Daniel for $19.95. Well, but it says here, why would you spend your money on that which is not going to be satisfied? Because if they're putting a price on it, they're making money on it, that's a guarantee that it's not of the waters of life that you're to come drink of freely and without money and without price. They put a price on it. So why do you spend money on that which is not bread? This is not going to give you any nourishment. It's not true spiritual food. And there's a lot of people out there giving out false. It's like it's supposed to be whole wheat bread, but it's actually white bread, Wonder Bread. Why would someone ever buy food that's not going to give them any nourishment? And actually we're going to get into that in a minute. And this is why it would actually make so much sense, because so many people are teaching the scriptures and it's just like white bread. There's no nourishment. There's no nutrition in it. There's no fiber. There's no benefit that someone gets from it. It's actually a deception. And they're actually spending money. They're giving money. They collect a lot of offerings at churches and revivals and all these things. So why do you spend your money on that which does not nourish you spiritually? And your labor, what you work for, that which satisfies you not. You're not getting your questions answered. You're finding contradictions within the doctrines. So the prophets teach us to hearken diligently. This is Isaiah 55, verse 2. Hearken diligently unto me, and eat you that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness, so in an abundance of nutritional spiritual food. And to prove to you that this is exactly what he's talking about, spiritual things, but it also, we understand you want to get good food, and if you want to eat healthy, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but we want to, more importantly, have good spiritual food, because this is where it all comes from, and from that you'll find out why it's important to take care of your body, why it's important to eat healthy foods and eat according to the way the Most High tells us to eat, because this is for our benefit. But it also comes from studying His Word. This is where all the directions come from. But to prove to you what Isaiah is saying, he's saying, so why do you spend your money on things that aren't satisfying you, on food that's not nourishing you? Verse 3 says, incline your ear and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. So in the third verse of Isaiah 55, he lets us know that for sure he's speaking of the truth. Incline your ear, the prophet says. Come unto me, Yahweh is calling. Hear, and your soul shall live. You will live. You will gain life by this. The Messiah in the book of Revelation says, everyone that is thirsty, come and drink freely, for free, of the waters of life. He teaches us, and Moses teaches us, Moshe, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh. This is where we get our life. Incline your ear, Isaiah says, come unto me, hear, and your soul will live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Through David comes the Messiah. The root of David has prevailed, the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, the Lamb that was slain. He is worthy to open the seven seals. He takes it. The Lamb is Joshua, all the sure mercies of David. David has his blessings in the kingdom. David is a prophet and a faithful man. But what David was picturing, and through the promises given to David, are fulfilled in the Messiah, and the everlasting covenant that is established with all creation is established through the Messiah. So this is where the truth that we get, and these are waters of life. They can give you life. If you live by Yahweh's word, this will give you more nourishment, more understanding, because it deals more with than what goes into your stomach. It deals with every part of you, how you think, how you feel, all of these things. And when we walk with our Father, when we draw near to Him, He draws near to us, and we become close. And there's a oneness. The Most High wants His people to be near to Him, and so He says, incline your ear, come unto me and hear, and your soul will live. I will make an everlasting covenant with you. Don't spend your money on that which isn't bread. The Messiah didn't, what He was hungry for, even though He was hungry for regular food, He was hungering and thirsting for righteousness. Blessed are the meek, they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those that hunger and thirst for righteousness, they will have their fill. Whosoever thirsts let him come drink freely of the waters of life. This is what he's talking about. So, when we do that, we find out that there's many blessings and that the Almighty intends to nourish His people, satisfy His people. He has an abundance of truth, where the Messiah teaches us that you shall know the truth and the truth will set you free. So all of these things are a part of the wonderful blessings that the Father has for us all. So I would like for everybody to turn, or I'm going to turn to the book of Proverbs. And it says, chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. It says, "My son, do not forget my teachings, but let your mind retain my commandments, or your heart retain my commandments. For they will bestow on you length of days, years of life, and well-being," and shalom. Another translation says, "My son, my Torah do not forget, and my commandments may your heart observe, because length of days and years of life and peace will be added to you." So, through these things, this goes right with man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahweh. When your law that you remember, you do not forget, and your commandments are in your heart, you observe them, length of days and years of life, and shalom, peace will be added unto you, or well-being, or health, or blessedness. This is going to bring all these blessings to you. And when we walk in the right way, it says, in verse 8 of Proverbs 3, it says, "May it become a healing to your navel and a refreshment to your bones." Now, actually I'm going to read 7. "Do not become wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahweh and turn away from bad. May it become healing to your navel and refreshments to your bones." Or, "Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahweh and shun evil. For it will be a cure for your body, a tonic for your bones," or for your marrow. Now, this is... people are hurting right now. There's actually more sickness in the earth in this time than there has ever been, really. Actually, the rate of diabetes and cancer has skyrocketed. I mean, it's so sad. And what we find out is that most people are not living by the words of the Most High. They're not turning to Him to find directions in their daily life, to find what He says. And in fact, most people have trusted that what they're getting taught in the religions of the world today is what is all they need. Because if they just believe in Jesus Christ, they're going to go to heaven. Or different religions have different teachings. If they do these certain practices, maybe they'll reach nirvana or whatever some religions teach, or some other kind of invisible place, or nothingness, or all these different things. And you also have religions like Judaism that teach that everybody goes to heaven, but they don't even have to accept the Messiah. So, and obviously they believe that there's some kind of judgment on the wicked, and that we should be good people. But basically, what I'm trying to say here is that, and you'll find that a lot of these people are sick, physically sick, mentally sick. They have a lot of struggles. In fact, everyone in this world today, we're all going through stuff. This is not an easy time, and our bodies are weak, but hopefully our spirits are strong. But so how do we, when the Most High created all things in the beginning, He said it was good. He created man to live, Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, that they would live and they would be happy and they would be fruitful and multiply, and they would be so blessed. And in fact, after that, they disobeyed, and now we end up with a world where there's disease and sorrow and pain, all the sickness, wars, everything. But what Yahweh's telling us, and that we don't... Most people are fighting over food, riches, all these things, land, oil, all this stuff. But when we find out that we don't live by bread alone, there's nothing material that we need, but we live by the Most High's words. And then we find out you can't even purchase the Most High's words, but we must incline our ear to listen, to understand. And then we find out that if we do not forget the Torah, as it says here in Proverbs 3, and the commandments, our heart, our seed of motivation, be motivated to keep His commandments. The heart is connected to the mind. So when we set our mind to do things, this also has to do with setting our heart, keeping the commandments, observing the commandments, that this would bring length to your life, days of your life. Shalom will be added unto you. And then it goes on, verse 7 of Proverbs 3, do not become wise in your own eyes, fear your way, and turn away from evil. May this become healing to your navel or to your body, and a refreshment or a tonic to your bones. Or basically, another translation would say a moistening. Because what comes from, why would it refer to the navel? Because that's the center of your body. And when you're healthy there, it's going to spread throughout your whole body. Many people are sick there, and that's why their sickness is spread throughout their whole body. Why does it mention your bones or your bone marrow? Because this is where your blood is actually formed. Along with the food you eat, your blood comes from your bone marrow. This is where you derive your health. So it's actually saying here that when you observe, don't be wise in your own eyes, but fear your way and turn away from evil. This will be healing to your body, to your bones, that you will actually become healthy, strong, and have shalom in your life. A cure for your body. Because Solomon, the prophet, the king, he knew that man needed a cure. And the cure is trusting in your way with all our heart, all our mind and soul, everything we have, to follow the good ways and to keep the paths of justice, to do what is right, but not to be wise in our own eyes. Now, so when it comes down to how we live our life, some people already have preconceived ideas, and most people are eating the way that everyone else is eating in the world, and that's why they have the same diseases that everybody else has in the world. But Yahweh's showing us a better way. He's showing us that there's another way that we can live, that we can actually be healthy and strong, have a healthy body, healthy, refreshed bones, that you don't have to have the diseases of the world. And if we go to the origins, the beginning, in the beginning, let's see what it says. So let's go to Bereshit, to the book of Genesis, and let's find out how He created man to live. Okay. Let's go to chapter 1 of Genesis. And he said, in verse 27, and this is at the end of the 6th day, or 26. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Okay, so man was made as the highest of Yahweh's creation, made in His image, made in the Most High's image, meaning His moral likeness. Obviously, the Almighty does not have a physical body. The Almighty is invisible. We're not to make any shape or consider it that way. In fact, here at the beginning of the Jewish JPS translation, let me see here. When they are talking about the Most High, let me see here. Find this in the footnotes. I wonder if I can find it here. Bear with me. So it says here in the footnotes, masculine terms for God, such as He, should be understood as gender neutral unless the imagery of the contract text requires otherwise. So basically what it's saying is, when we say the Most High and the Father, well, that's referring is how we understand the Most High as the Creator, the life giver. This would make Him the Father. But we're not to see Him as a man, so to speak. The Most High is greater than a man. He made man and woman. He made everything. The Most High is above all His creation. But how is man, humans, Adam, how are we made in His image? We are made in His likeness, in the sense that we have His attributes within us. Elohim is love. Man has the ability to love, the greatest ability to love of any of Yahweh's creation. Justice is the foundation of His throne. We also have the faculties of justice. You see people do great things to stand up for justice, even risking their life. People that don't even know about the Scriptures, people that don't even believe in the Scriptures, that faculty of justice comes to the forefront when there's great injustices being done, and they do that because they have that image inside of them. Wisdom. Man has the ability to understand deep matters. And also power. These are the four primary attributes of the Most High. And when He said, let us make man in our image, that's what He created man in His love, justice, wisdom, and power. And we have those living attributes. All other attributes that we could describe would be a part of those attributes. And they always work in harmony with the Almighty. With the humans today, fallen man, those attributes are out of power, out of balance. But they will come back to balance. So as He's calling us out of the world, we must look at these things. And so anyways, back to Genesis, it says here in verse 26, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Genesis 1:26. Let us make man in our image and after our likeness. They shall rule the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and the cattle, the whole earth, and all the creeping things that creep on the earth. So first of all, I just want to say man was created for the earth. The fact that we were called Adam, in 26, it says, Elohim said, let us make Adam. It's translated man in English, but Adam. Why? Because Adam comes from the earth. Adam comes from Adama, which is the earth, the soil, the dust. We're of the earth, created of the Most High, but also of the earth. So man is made to live on earth. That's why the promise is that the humble, the upright, the meek will inherit the earth. So this is the promise. So let us make man in our image. He's going to control the earth. And Elohim created man in His image, verse 27. And in the image of Elohim, He created him. Male and female, He created them. So again, the female is also in the image of the Most High, just like man. Verse 28. Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said to them, be fertile and increase. Fill the earth and master it. Rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and all the living things that creep on the earth. Now, this word rule actually has to do with guarding, keeping, observing. Like we also guard the Torah. This actually has to do with protecting and caring for, not to abuse, not to destroy as man has done, but to be the caretakers. To love the earth. Alright. But this is where I was getting to. Man shall not live by bread alone, he shall not live by his daily food, but he shall live by all the words of the Most High. But when it came to bread, when it came to our food, let's see what He says. And Elohim said, see, I give you every seed-bearing plant that is upon all the earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruit, they shall be yours for food. Okay, so here we have that the Most High gave us all the fruits and vegetables that bear seed. These are the foods for the human race. And He goes further, and to all the animals of the land, and all the birds of the sky, and to everything that creeps on the earth, wherein there is the breath of life, I give all the green plants for food. So there's greens. You have your kale, your lettuce, your collards, your mustards, your spinach. All the animals can eat this. Man can eat this. This is what He gave us. And Elohim saw all that He had made and found it very good. There was evening and there was morning the sixth day. So, but now it says in the Proverbs, we need the healing. We need to return. Do not forget. Do not become wise in your own eyes, but fear Yahweh. Turn from evil, and it will become healing to your body and refreshment for your bones. Well, and just speaking of on a dietary level, man has definitely become wise in his own ways. Man is eating processed foods and then wondering why we can't sleep at night. They get up and they're eating they're drinking stimulations, like they're drinking a lot of coffee, soda pop, all of these things that actually overstimulate the body, especially the soda pop and stuff, really bad. And they're eating all these things that are not included in this. The seed-bearing plants, the green plants, the fruits and vegetables, the nuts, the seeds, all these things. This is what should mainly consist of everybody's diet. If we go to this, it says, man shall not live by bread alone, but live by the words of the Most High. Every word, this is part of the word, that we would live by His word, and actually in His word we find out that He created us to eat this way. This is what He made us to eat, for us to eat, and that actually this would bring a good result. And so when I look at the world today, and I see, and I'm not judging anybody, because we all have got our, trials to overcome. But you can overcome anything. There's obesity. There's diabetes, like I said. I have a brother suffering from diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. The type 2 diabetes can be overcome easier by diet, but all can be improved by and helped by diet. Anything you have going on, arthritis, headaches, not being able to sleep at night, feeling groggy when you wake up in the morning. There's the healthy life, the way we live. The Most High deals with all these things that can help heal us and turn us to Him. So we want to walk with Him. You're going to be blessed. And everything He saw was good. And He created these things for us all. So when Isaiah is telling us, incline your ear, he's definitely talking about deep prophetic understanding. But also we cannot forget that the way we eat, the way we think, the way we talk. There's a proverb that says, in a man, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So as we meditate in our heart, as we think of, if you're thinking negative thoughts constantly, you're negative. If you're thinking positive thoughts, you're positive. It's impossible to feel good if you're thinking negative. So all these things go together. But as I said, man is created for the earth. These are the foods the Most High gave us from the earth to sustain us. And it wasn't until after Noah's flood that he gave us the permission to eat meat, and then He gave us more clear dietary laws about which meats were okay to eat and which meats were not okay to eat. And you'll find that in one of the chapters is Leviticus 11. And it says in Leviticus 11, verse 2, these are the creatures that you may eat from among the land animals. Any animal that has true hoofs, with clefts through the hoof, and chews the cud, such you may eat. But the other ones you shall not eat, like the camel, the swine. So basically saying you can eat a cow, a sheep, a goat, a deer. These things are clean animals. There's a few other ones too. But that doesn't mean, the foundation has to go back to Genesis 1, that this is how we're supposed to eat. And then the meat becomes a supplement, or you take that as a little boost. You're borrowing from the animal that the animal eats. All those animals, that's what they eat. They eat the grass and the vegetables from the earth. They eat the way man was also created to eat. But when you eat the animal, you're actually getting a little bit of that blessing from them. And so the Most High gave us that ability to eat the animal. So I'm not going to tell people they can't ever eat an animal. Like it's part of the commandments on the Passover to eat some lamb. These things the Most High has commanded us. And when a man shall not live by bread alone. So our faith doesn't come from how our diet is. We know we're not going to gain eternal life because we eat a perfect diet, or so to speak. But every word of the Most High becomes important. Every word we look at and we want to live our life by, and this is how it's going to bring shalom to you. Like it says, do not forget the Torah, observe the commandments in your heart, and because length of days and years to your life and peace will be added unto you. This is all for our blessing. This is all for your blessing. And so He wants you to have this, and He wants you to feel good. So He allows you and has told us what animals were clean and what animals were unclean. Like the fish. Certain fish are clean if they have scales and fins, and are in basically healthy waters, and those are actually clean too. And then certain birds are clean, certain birds are not clean. But these things, people of today's world, they've gone so far, they're eating animal stuff 3 times a day, and they're wondering why they're getting sick, because man wasn't even originally created to eat animals, and it was something He gave us permission to eat. And when you give thanks for it, it's fine in moderation. Just like wine. Wine is a wonderful thing in moderation. Too much, it has a terrible side effect, and so it shouldn't be done in a excessive way. So when someone eats too much meat, they're going to end up with a lot of health issues. In the same way, but when you go to the original diet, if you eat mostly fruits and vegetables in the proper way, you're going to be blessed with health. This is going to bring really good. This is going to bring a lot of goodness to you. Now, I want to touch on a couple things here. Another thing about health, and that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the Most High's mouth, is the fact that it's not what goes into the man that defiles him, but what comes out of the man. The Messiah teaches us that. And so that is where people start to say, well, he actually said we could eat whatever we want. But actually what he's saying to you is, there's many people that eat a so-called really healthy diet, but it's actually what's inside of them that they speak out. Their meditation of their heart and the words of their mouth are not acceptable in His sight, even though if their diet is. So the Torah is not one-sided. We're looking at many sides of life, how we live, how we think, how we everything. Talks about bathing, talks about all these things. So the most important part is your meditation of your heart. Like David says, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Yahweh, my strength and my Redeemer. This is what Israel prays for. We want to have a pure meditation, acceptable meditation, and acceptable words. Now, we all fall short of the glory, and no one is perfect. But I'm speaking of these things today to encourage you. This is a lifestyle of hope. The reason that I'm here is to speak the good news, a message of hope and goodness, and that we can be healthy, we can be strong, we can be bright individuals. The Most High teaches us to love Him with all our heart, mind, and soul. Yahshua, the Messiah, teaches us that this is the greatest commandment, that you shall love Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart, with all your soul, all your life, everything you have, and all your strength. And also that you should love your neighbor as you love yourself. So this also, a lot of people can love their neighbor but have a hard time loving themselves. So therefore they're probably not loving the neighbor as well as they would if they loved themselves. So when we love ourselves, we want to eat properly, we want to give ourselves proper rest, we want to have good meditation, we want to think, we want to study, we want to pray, and we must believe. When Yahshua says man must not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, it is the key ingredient is faith. And so we find in Hebrews 11 that faith, I'm actually turning to it here. Verse 1, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. The prophets of old, it was by faith, the life of faith they lived, is why they received the promise of eternal life. Why they were seen as upright. And verse 6 of Hebrews 11 goes on, without faith it is impossible to please Him. For he that comes to Elohim must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of them that seek Him, that diligently seek Him. So He will reward you if you diligently seek Him. But you must believe. You must have the faith. Without faith, we cannot please Him. So there's no perfect diet or perfect prayer that you can tell someone that they can say this over and over and that's going to work out. No, it has to be your faith. Because we must believe His words. Man shall live by the words that come out of the mouth of the Most High when they have faith in them, when they live them. So every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh, that's every word. We gotta weigh them. We gotta look at them. It says in the book of Timothy, actually in the book of 2 Timothy, it says this in 2 Timothy 3, verse 16, all Scripture is inspired of Elohim and beneficial for teaching, for reproving, for setting things straight, for disciplining in righteousness, that the man of Elohim may be fully competent, completely equipped for every good work. So here we have that all Scripture is inspired. So that means Genesis 1, when it tells us what man was created to eat, what the Most High gave him to eat. This is beneficial for us, for correcting us, setting things straight, for disciplining us in righteousness. Whether it's dietary laws, all these things count. And so when we, a lot of times I'm going to talk about prophecies and deeper matters, but today I wanted to talk about how, even though Yahshua says, man shall not live by bread alone, and the greatest thing is that the Most High's word, we live by that. Part of that is the type of bread that we eat, the type of food that we eat. What we choose to eat is what Yahweh says for us to eat. And we give thanks and we want to live in harmony with His laws, because these things, because we love Him. And then actually we know that He does these things for our benefit. And I wanted to go to the book of Daniel, the great prophet Daniel, when he was carried away to Babylon as a young teenager and was forced they tried to force him to assimilate into Babylon culture. But Daniel, he had to hold his ground when it came to the food. So what we'll find out here is that Daniel was one of the mighty children of Judah, and he was brought to the king's palace, into the king's school. And it says here in Daniel chapter 1 verse 4 that there were these children in whom there was no blemish. They were well favored, and they were skillful in all wisdom and cunning in knowledge and understanding science, such as they had an ability in them to stand in the king's palace, whom they might teach the learning and of the tongue of the Chaldeans. So they had to learn in Babylon schools, Babylon language, these things. So we live in this world today. So many of us were raised in Babylon public schools, so to speak, and we've had to learn how Babylonians talk. And we've had to learn these things from this world. Daniel, in a sense, parallels that. He is in this captivity. He's away from the promised land. He's away from the kingdom. But Daniel was a man of faith, and it shines out, even though he was a young man. It says, and the king appointed to them a daily provision of the king's meat, and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. Now among these there were of the children of Judah, there was Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names. For he gave unto Daniel the name Belteshazzar, and Hananiah he gave the name Shadrach, and Mishael he gave Meshach, and Azariah he gave Abednego. Now these are pagan heathen names, to try to get them to assimilate in. They didn't say anything about that. They remember their true Hebrew name, but they allowed them to call them that. Just we must take note. Verse 8 says, and Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince that the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now, why would he not defile himself? Because he didn't want to eat. The Babylonians didn't eat the clean meats. They ate unclean meats, probably unclean meats. They ate things that were forbidden by the Torah. The wine they made, he didn't know about it. He knew that it could possibly be unhealthy and go against Yahweh's laws. And so he chose in his heart to obey Yahweh and not to defile himself, because he knew that man does not live by bread alone. He could reject that food and still survive, because man lives by the words of the Most High. And when you stand up for the words of the Most High and live by them, you will be blessed. This is what you live by. And that actually did control his dietary practices. And so Elohim had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. That was 9. Now verse 10. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my master the king, who has appointed your meat and your drink. For why would he, when he sees your faces worse, liking than the children which are of your sort, then you shall endanger my head to the king. Then said Daniel to Melzar, who the prince of the eunuch had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech you, or let me prove myself. 10 days, let them give us vegetables and to eat and water to drink. So he was given vegetables to eat instead of the meat. But this is actually includes beans, lentils, grains, fruits and vegetables, all these things, and water to drink. So this is in harmony with like the Genesis 1 commandment. So Daniel just kept to the Torah. There was no confusion about this. Was definitely kosher food, lentils and grains and vegetables and fruits. These are all kosher. These are all clean. And then it said, let our appearance be looked upon, and the appearances of the children that eat the portion of the king's meat, as you see us deal with your servants. So he consented to them in this manner, and they proved them 10 days. So a 10-day cleanse, a 10-day proper diet, while the other kids ate an improper diet. They ate of the Babylon food, which I would compare to the food of this world, the processed food, what you're going to find in restaurants and the majority of the restaurants, what you're going to find in many people's refrigerators. The majority of every grocery store is full of junk food. Even natural food stores are full of a lot of processed junk food. Anyways, at the end of 10 days, who looked better? And at the end of 10 days, verse 15, their appearances was much better and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat a portion of the king's meat. And so the Meltzer, the person who was set above them, the Babylonian, took away the portion of their meat and their wine and gave them vegetables. And these 4 children, Elohim gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding of visions of dreams. So Daniel lived according to the Torah. He didn't live by bread alone. He chose to serve Yahweh. He ate the proper foods as it is outlined in the Scriptures, because all Scripture is beneficial for instruction, and we want to obey Yahweh's laws and to keep it, because this will bring blessings to us. These will bring health to our bodies. This is what He intends. So when we look at the world and it's all sick around us, it's because they're not obeying the Most High's words. We are living in a sinful world, and when we choose to live right and to walk in the path of uprightness, this will include a well-rounded life, a well-rounded outlook. The most important thing is that we study His Word, we know what it says, and we live by those words, my brothers and sisters. You are tuned into the Kingdom Road Radio Show, and this is your host, Joseph Israel. This show has been titled, Man Shall Not Live by Bread Alone, and that man shall live by all the words of the Most High that proceeded out of His mouth. Yahweh's words will give us life. Anyone who desires, let them drink of these waters freely. So we went over the 1, 2, and 3 of Isaiah 55, Revelation 22:17, Matthew 4, verse 4, and many other scriptures. I hope you all enjoyed it, and that you choose to live a life of health, following the ways, commandments, and that you tune in next week at the same time. I love doing these shows. I'm very thankful to be a part of Kingdom Radio. So until next week, this is your host, Joseph Israel, saying peace be with you. One love. Shalom Aleichem.
because Yahweh has a plan and it's bigger than our own. I'll just have to say that. Let's move on. I want to bring in my special co-host today, and because I like to hear their responses and reactions for those things that have caused our mind to be twisted up and everything. Well, let's untwist our minds, let them roam free, and laugh a little. I'll hopefully laugh a little bit. I laughed when I put it together, so hopefully it'll be good for you as well. So first off, I want to bring in Mr. Praying for the Handbasket, Mark David Smith.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring your wife in.
Well, my wife has stepped away from the microphone.
So unless we can see that, but usually
we got to catch that, that distant voice. Maybe we catch that. Yeah. So she'll be back. Yeah. And we also have Eddie and Tammy. Good morning, Eddie and Tammy.
Yay.
It's good to have you guys back with us today. Okay. All right. We got a little vision game going on there. And then here she comes.
I don't have another block to click.
Miss, let us reason together.
Miss Sandy,
there we go.
Doesn't she look beautiful today?
Actually,
on both of us today, Sandy.
I'm looking at the sun is shining. Do you guys see that beam of light that's across me right now?
You're in the light.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about the light. Okay, guys, here we go. All right. These are those headlines from around the world. Headlines you will not hear from anywhere else. Okay. All right. So I don't mean to be morbid by this. I just want us to sit back and go, First headline: dead man remains dead.
How profound.
Headline.
Goodness, no zombies here. All right. So that's actually from the Associated Press out of the city of Industry, California.
Why would they even say that?
I don't know.
You didn't read the article, just the headline.
I just read the headline. All right. But keeping that topic in mind, not to be morbid. How about this? Death is nation's top killer.
Don't. Really? What newspaper would publish that?
Right. Sure. Right. But I will read a little bit of the article. It says both your front page story on November 10. Study shows tobacco is nation's biggest killer, and the study in which its reports are permeated by a fallacy that is becoming part of the fabric of American thinking. Death is not, under any circumstances whatsoever, preventable. It does say it's only delayable, but I just thought I'd cut it off right there.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. Any thoughts about that?
Somebody wasted space in the newspaper for that. That's all I got to say.
Well,
I read the word, the word says it's appointed unto man once to die.
Yeah.
So therefore, they finally read the Bible.
Right. There you go. Well,
unless you're Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah.
Oh, God have mercy.
Well, doesn't it actually say, isn't that parenthetically in the Bible? It says it wants to die parenthetically, except unless you're Shirley MacLaine. It's actually in some of the newer text, the New World text in the Bible. So,
That's right. That's right, Mark. That's right. Don't add or take away. Just change it.
Just be careful which Bible you buy.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's the MKJ version.
Good morning, Beryl and Zombar.
Yeah, good morning. Glad to have y'all. Okay, here's the next one. This one, keeping with the same theme, not to be morbid or anything.
Don't say those words again, please. I don't want to hear those again, or I'm walking off.
All right.
Not to be morbid.
All right. Breathing oxygen linked to staying alive.
Fiji. Stay.
Yeah, I'd say well, it may not be old news. I mean, it may not be new news, but it's still true. So it's not fake news.
No.
I mean, so you really just discard it. So
I just want to know what drug these people that are writing these articles have been on. I'm telling you.
We're telling you the truth here on Let Us Reason Together. Okay, here's the next one. You may be at risk for throat cancer if you have a throat or mouth.
A profound revelation.
Yeah.
You could literally title these headlines as headlines, profound revelation, or profound revelation headlines.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess if you have I won't talk about IQ. Okay. So I was going to say, if you got an IQ over 50, you probably understand these. So, all right, going on. And then talking about body parts. This is a little unrelated to the above theme, which I won't say, but I couldn't resist. Cop makes arrest in bathroom after smelling crack.
Well, you're
not going to hear these headlines from anywhere else.
But my thought on that, first of all, would be, is the cop of his right mind? Because once you start smelling crack, then really your senses have now been skewed. So I would say it would be a bad arrest because the cop was actually impaired when he made the arrest. So if you want to take it to court, if I was the person in the bathroom and I went to court, I would say, I'm sorry, but that cop was impaired.
I can tell you my husband's taking it a different way because I've heard him use this phrase before. We had some people that did some things at our congregation and they're not there anymore, but he would come along and say, oh, this is so crude. I don't want to say it.
What? Like, don't do crack?
No, you said, I smell when I'm around them. I smell
crack,
but not crack the drug.
Yeah.
But
you're right. It's crude, but we all know John.
And he would say that. And that's where his mind went. I can tell you right now, that's exactly where it went. It wasn't the drug. It was the other one.
I know nothing.
Yeah, I am right, Mr. Craig. You know I am.
And you only hear it here on the Lamb Network.
That's right. Okay. Now that we've untwisted our minds,
untwisted your mind. I told everybody what you were
everybody
thinking.
else's mind got twisted up. All right. Moving right along, let's talk about some weird and quirky shower thoughts, those things that come to your mind as you soak under that warm shower water and you're just, getting ready for your next stage of your day. All right? So, weird and quirky shower thoughts for today. iPhone chargers should be called apple juice.
That's cute. That's cute.
All right? How about this for all who post on social media, considering the prior theme, your tombstone's epitaph is like your final status update.
But this would be the epitaph of millennials.
There you go. All right. And how about this one? The person who would proofread Hitler's speeches was a grammar Nazi.
What we have to put up with.
I ran into a mask Nazi yesterday at the store.
You did?
Yeah.
I don't like mask Nazis.
When I went in the store, she says, ma'am, you have to wear a mask if you're going to be in this store. And I'm like, okay. And she said, well, I have one if you need one. So I took it and I just held on to it till I got in line to check out from her.
Just wear it around your arm. See, I'm wearing it.
Yep, that's
There
right.
you go.
That's
Then
what I
say,
do. I
wear it
usually
out,
wear it on my
right?
wrist.
Yeah. All right. One last
Well,
one.
you could put it over your eyes and start bumping into things.
You told me to wear a mask.
That'll teach him. That'll teach him. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to buy here, but I got my mask on. Yeah. start stealing there.
Sorry about the mess, guys. Okay. All right. One last shower thought of the day. Then we're going to have to retwist our minds. Okay. Think about this. This one you're going to have to think about. The word fat, F-A-T, just looks like someone took a bite out of the first letter of the word eat, E-A-T.
Say that again. I really didn't catch it.
So the word fat, F-A-T, think about the letters. Okay. Just looks like someone took a bite out of the first letter of the word eat.
I disagree.
The lower
Okay.
That.
That one was more like an okay.
Okay. So, all right. Do I need to explain it?
I get it, but it wouldn't. It
All right.
was
We all
not.
think it was a dud.
Is it done?
It wasn't as quality as your other ones. Let's put it that way.
All right.
Let's go back
Sorry, I
to the
left it
crack
with the
one
dud. I
a
should have
little.
ended up with the crack.
Oh, you cracked me up, John. You cracked me up.
There we go. What I
Okay.
have to put up with just to be on a show on the Lamb Network.
Amen.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.
They should be white as snow, white as snow, white wool. If you listen and obey me, you'll be blessed. If you listen and
The teachings and music on Messianic Lamb Radio are made available by the generous donations of listeners like you. Thank you.
You're listening to listener-supported Lamb Radio. 77.7 on your radio dial, or is that God's radio dial?
Messianic Lamb Radio.
Do not touch that dial. Do not click off that page. We are Lamb.